Recall back to prison. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in this episode, people, because it has been requested by a few people, especially the ones who are new to the channel. So I am still on holiday, and this is in my hotel room, which, if you've been watching the previous videos, does resemble a bit of a prison cell. And it also, someone did actually say in the comments, it actually resembles an interview room. But here we go. So I'm just in the corner of the room. I haven't got a mic, so you might hear some other outside noises. But do forgive us, because I am doing the video just for you lot back at home. So my recall back to prison was in December 2019. And that was for aggravated vehicle taking, which used to be known as TWOC, taken without consent. So at the time, I was buying and selling cars. I had my own car business, recovering cars and buying and selling cars, second-hand and used cars. So the aggravated vehicle taken was me bought a stolen motor vehicle, crashed it whilst I was intoxicated, and subsequently got recalled back to prison. Now, this was a moment of madness. It wasn't something that I've done all the time or been involved in previously, but it was something that the path I was leading down because of things that was happening in my life, i.e. my best friend doing away with himself and me finding him hanging, that sent me on the path of destruction. Because after my IPP, when I got out, I was a successful businessman, doing well with me businesses, with me wife, me 4 kids, and then obviously my best friend couldn't take it no longer and done away with himself. Then my wife Sandy done the same, and then my other best friend also done the same. So the successful businessman and family man and husband started deteriorating and ended up subsequently back in prison for that offence. And like I said, I am remorseful for what I've done for that car, because it was someone's car that was took from outside of the house. The keys were there for the vehicle, and the vehicle was took during the night, and I was using the vehicle. And the vehicle, like I say, I crashed the vehicle after I'd had a few drinks one night, and the vehicle, I got away. I left the vehicle, ran away, left it, the airbags had went off, and 6 months later, the coppers came, they arrested us, didn't take us to question us or anything like that. They took us straight back to prison for recall. But at that point, I had been out for nearly 10 years, and luckily, in them 6 months from when the car offence happened, leading up to the recall, I actually sorted myself out and sorted my head out. It probably was because of what had happened with that car and what happened afterwards, and what could have happened, how things could have escalated and went further. Because that car, I've never actually spoke about this on here before, that car was to be used for something, and I was to be involved in that. Someone who I had a grievance with, someone who had upset us in the past and done something to a family member. And that's as much as I'm going to say on that. But luckily nothing came of it, and nothing went any further, because the recall back to prison, put it this way, it would have been bigger than any car offence. So these are all the factors that came into play on why I changed my life and changed my mindset whilst in prison. Because something which, when you look back, is quite trivial and not worth it, but when you're intoxicated, full of whatever, taking tablets to get to sleep and just not having any feelings or emotions because of what I witnessed and because of how my mindset wasn't thinking about my family members, wasn't thinking about victims, people that I might be hurting along the way, wasn't thinking about the person whose car it was. But these are all the things that I did have to think about when I went to prison. Because I got recalled just before Christmas, and like I mentioned, I didn't get interviewed. I got took straight to prison. Straight at the police station, put in a cell. Didn't even get told why I was there. I just got told recall. No interviews, no nothing. Waiting for the paddy wagon to take us literally round the corner. I was in Durham police station and they were taking us literally round the corner into Durham prison. So like I say, I'd sorted myself out. I was sitting in the gym at 9 o'clock in the morning, fresh, happy with life, be coming to terms with things a bit. Well, I thought I was. Then 6 hours later, I'm sitting inside a Durham prison, my head mashed in bits, not knowing why I was in there. I did have a bit of an idea because they still didn't tell us in reception why the recall was. I didn't actually find out for a few days when I remember back. So when I'm on the phone to my wife as well, I've said I'm in prison. I've been recalled. I don't know what I'm in here for. And that mindset that I was in, like I say, everything that I witnessed, what I'd been taken, how numb I was, blaming everybody else, not taking responsibility for my own actions. Immediately I was in prison and I was blaming probation, calling out all sorts in my head, thinking you horrible piece of whatever. You shouldn't have recalled us. When looking back, obviously, they shouldn't have, because they've got to question you first. I mean, that DNA on the airbag, obviously you bank the rights that your DNA is on the airbag, but it could have been there of being the passenger climbing over or whatever. So realistically, they should question people first before they issue a recall. But I'm not banging on about that because she done me the biggest favour of my life. My life is the way it is now because of that recall, and I don't regret one bit of it. Obviously, I regret the actions that landed us in prison, but I don't regret I don't regret the time I spent in prison because it actually worked for me. I had all that time alone in my cell. I had about 5 or 6 different pad mates, to be honest with you, before this, and I couldn't cope with pad mates. I couldn't cope with it. I had to get put on high risk cell share so that I could come to terms with, I'm an IPP prisoner. I've got a wife and 4 kids at home that I've left at home. My actions have landed me in here. I need to come to terms with things, but I can't come to terms with it when I've got somebody else on the top bunk waffling on all night, doing whatever, and you can't focus on yourself and get your mind straight because there's somebody else in the pad with you. So I did eventually get put on high risk cell share, meaning no pad mates were allowed in the pad with me. And that's when I started coming to terms with things. But COVID struck. I was banged up. Sometimes they were banged up over 24 hours without even getting out for exercise. You were getting out for 15 minutes to start with on exercise. And luckily, I was on the cleaners, on the servery rather, so I got out at meal time, so I was serving, so you got a bit extra time out your pad. But like I'm saying, I come to terms with things in that pad. After it took 6 months, mind you. 6 months of waiting for this answer, thinking I'm going to be getting out any time. Still blaming probation in my head. No courts, no parole hearings, no nothing. Head up my arse thinking I'm stuck here for years. Then courts came back on, and still in my head I was thinking, well, I'm going to fight this case. My DNA was on the airbag. I could have jumped over from the passenger seat. Still trying to get out of it, still not taking responsibility. But it wasn't until I knew I had to own up to it. I had to take responsibility. Obviously there was no court cases, but then when they did come back on, it was through video link. And if I was to plead not guilty and take this to trial, I would have been sitting in there for years because I would have had to get transported back up to Durham, then to Durham Crown Court so I could get the trial, and that would have took years. So I pled guilty and decided to take everything on my toes, own up to everything. Said how sorry I was to my wife and kids back home, owned everything, and from that day forward, my life changed. I've become a different person. I felt better. I was emotional, I'm not going to lie about it. Any decent man who loves the family, the wife and the kids will become emotional in situations like that. But there's only one thing you can do. If you're in that situation, you've caused it. What can you do to make it better or get out of it? Take it on board, take full responsibility, own up to it, stop blaming other people, blame yourself, and then be a better person. Now, it's exactly what I'm doing, sitting here, a totally different man. Free from the IPP now, been out of prison over 4 years, kept me head straight, got my own business, got my own book that I wrote during COVID on my recall, which the links are in the description if you don't want to buy it, Behind the Bars Ruthless Fitness. And like I've said, I own my own gym. I'm helping people worldwide. I've got over 300,000 followers across all of my platforms now. And I'm coming on and doing talks like this. I'm not just talking about prisoners, although I do talk a lot about the Bacons, because them type of individuals I cannot stand. And when you've got kids yourself and you think about what these creatures do, it's only right that they need exposing. That's what I do on the channel. That's the only negative stuff I talk about them. But it's also a positive because it's bringing awareness. But this channel, obviously going down the positive route, it's showing people that you can change. There is a different side of life. And if you get rid of all the negative stuff out of your life, cut it all out, and that's including that, it's including the drink, anything that interferes with this, it's no good. And it's not just substances I'm talking about. If people, even family members, anybody interferes with your mindset and you can't get your mind right, you need to deal with it, move on in life and become happy. And this is what happened on my recall, and this is the whole top and bottom of it for this video. Talking about the recall, coming to terms with everything and letting you know what I was in for, what I got recalled for, and that changing moment. Because there is people, I mean subscribers, saying, what was that moment? What was the changing moment for you? And that was the moment when I pled guilty, took everything on board, said how sorry I was to my family, and become a better person. And that's all you can do in them situations. If, that's what I'm saying, if you really want it and you do want to change. Because there is people in them situations that don't deal with it. They keep blaming other people. They're fighting throughout the time in the system. They're blaming the screws. They're blaming inside probation. They're blaming everybody but themselves. They're blaming the padmate. They're battering anybody who gets in the way. They're taking anything they can inside of there to block everything out. And they're getting out worse than what they went in. The whole purpose of a prison sentence is to sort yourself out. Prison doesn't rehabilitate you. You rehabilitate yourself. And you only rehabilitate yourself if you want it and you want to change and you want to be a better person. So I thought I would come on and do another freestyle talking about the recall and talking more positive stuff, because the channel, as it progresses and grows even further, is going to go more down the route, because I get messages on a daily basis. I had another message this morning when I woke up from a lad up in Northern Ireland. And he sent a message saying, the lads up here are behind you, will love what you do. And he's only a young lad, I'm saying young, early 20s. He's been to prison himself, but he's taking inspiration from me channel. Not just the prison channel, but obviously me gym page, seeing my workouts on Instagram and different things. And it's given him inspiration to change. He's obviously someone as well who's come from a deprived background, hasn't really had much influence or positive influence in his life. And he's come across myself on these channels, not big in prison, up talking like a big gangster, like half the Muppets do on here, or beefing with people and just causing shit all the time. What's the point in doing that? It's not going to bring any good to you or anybody else. So obviously the likes of this young lad is taking it on board, and he's taking inspiration from it, and that's what my aim is, to help people along the way, to make amends for all the bad that I've done in my life. But I will talk more in depth about other things, about the reason why I got recalled, because there is a few people asking us about this, and I'm going to do a more in-depth one in the coming weeks. But for those of you who haven't seen it, watch the HMP Franklin documentary on Channel 5. And if you have a look at my podcast section, there is a video I've done a couple of years ago saying why or how I ended up in high security prison at 21-year-old. One of the youngest lads in the high security estate in Franklin prison, 21-year-old. So that'll give you a little bit more insight if you haven't already watched them. But like I said, I will be doing more in depth, and I will be doing more like this, where when I haven't got as much time, I can just come on, do a video, talk freely, no edits, maybe little bits of mishaps, little bits of wording wrong, but who gives a shit? It's all down to earth, it's all humble, it's all real life and raw, unfiltered. But on that note, people, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. And if you're not already subscribed, remember, go down, hit that button, comment, like, and subscribe. Take care, everyone.